Most people, when they think of clock radios, think of, the old red LED GE clock radio that everybody had back in the 80s, or the old flip clocks from the 70s. And there's not really a lot of modern ones, although this one that I've had for probably over 20 years, it finally has developed a problem. Now, normally you just toss something like this out, but I really like this one, so I'm going to see if we can fix it. Let's check it out. What have we here? Well, this is a General Electric dual wake digital alarm clock. This is actually the one that I use every day, and it has a problem. And yeah, it's not plugged in. I'll show you guys the boot up sequence on this thing. It's if it'll do it, because the batteries are dead. We had a power failure last week that lasted 8 hours, so the backup batteries in it went dead. Oh, look. Goes to the radio station I listen to in the morning. But this thing's got a problem. And the problem is it's becoming impossible to turn it off. It started a few years ago, and I've just decided to live with it until now, but I can't live with this anymore because the button, it don't work. You see, it should be on now, but it's not. It's just displaying the time. Oh, I guess the batteries did pick up a little bit of a charge after sitting there, because they were dead after the power failure. The batteries, it had to reset the time, but it looks like they have maybe restored a little bit of their charge. They're going to get replaced anyway because, well, these batteries have been in here for forever. I don't remember when they were put in, probably 20 years ago when this thing was new, but they are GP alkaline. Do they have a date on these things? I'm just looking to see if they have a date. Product of Gold Peak Corp. I'm just looking to see if these things, for industrial use only, not for sale. These were the batteries that came with this thing. They have not leaked. And here's the date on it. Used by September 2007. That's the best before. So you know that they're a lot older than that. I've had this thing well over 20 years, this clock radio. I forget when I bought it, but I bought it when this one first came out because I thought it was cool, because it had a nice blue display and it had a digital readout. And let's just check the batteries and see what the voltage is. They're going to be dead. 1.2 volts. So it's still got a bit of a charge in them, but they have not leaked. 1.4, that one's almost fully charged. Unbelievable. But look, no leakage. No leakage at all. That is amazing. Take that one, Duracell. Anyway, those are going to get replaced when I put this back in service, because not only do they power the clock, but they also power the alarm. And that's probably why it went dead, because the power went out just as I was leaving for work, and I have the second alarm set. I have two alarms. I set one for waking me up on my work days, and then the other one I have it set for a little bit later on for my days off. And it goes off, and usually just the radio plays for an hour and it shuts off, because usually everybody's up by that point in time, unless it's my day off. And I guess it ran for when the power went out, it sounded off the alarm, and that pulled the batteries right down. But hey, they were old. When was this thing made? Date code 4450. Does anybody know what that date code is? I'd have to look that up. But anyway, neat thing about this one is you set the time, and it's got daylight saving. You just turn it on and it advances by an hour. You don't have to set it. Just flick the switch. And it's got the clock is actually backed up on this thing, and it maintains the time. It's got a time zone. So when I bought this thing, it actually had the time set, because it has a real-time clock. These batteries were pre-installed when I got it. Neat little unit, and it has pretty good sound. That's why I use it. You know, it's not stereo, but who cares? But what's happened is, to say, this button has gone bad. Now, if I press it hard enough, it actually will work. So let's see if I can turn it on here. If I just there,
suspicious going on here.
You know, but sometimes, you know, now it's going to work for a while. Now it's not working again. Right? I have to kind of. There. Now, oh, it came on and then it went off. But you get
deals. Save on winter boots.
And I'm sure that the volume control could use a cleaning. So, we're going to fix this thing. Now the clock is going to be wrong because I took the batteries out. probably say 12 o'clock. Yeah, 12 o'clock, you see. Now it's flashing because the batteries are out. Anyway, we're going to pop this thing apart. I don't even know how it comes apart. It's got a nap button. That's nice. It gives you like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to take a snooze. And what else does this thing have on it? It's got two dual alarms. Alarm 1 and Alarm 2, and you can set it to wake to music or a beeping buzzer, which is kind of nice because it's not like some of those. It has a photo sensor in here, so it dims the lights down. It dims the display down at night automatically. You can turn auto brightness on or off. Of course, I keep it on because nothing like having a clock that is so bloody bright it lights up the room. This gets down real dim at night, which is nice. Snooze button, never use that. Never have used snooze. I just listen to the radio and then turn it off. This is to set the time, this is set the time and the alarm, and the tuning is over here at AM, FM, and somewhere on here there's going to be some screws to open this thing up, and I bet you they're under these little feet that have arrows nicely marked on them to tell me that I have to remove the feet to open this thing up. Now, I've never been into this unit before, so this will be an experience for me too to see how well built this little radio is. I know I'm going to hear it from people saying, why do you have a radio? Why don't you just use your phone? Well, I do use my phone. And I use my TV. This comes on first on the local radio station that I usually listen to. And I listen to that for a few minutes. That kind of wakes me up. And then the TV kicks in on the hour so that the news, I can watch the news. And my alarm goes off on my phone as well, just as a backup. So if the power is out, for example. Alright, now that the screws are out, I don't know whether the bottom lifts off or whether the top lifts off. I'm thinking that, I don't know what lifts off on this thing. That's a good one. Screws are out, so I would expect that something's going to happen. There, the bottom comes off just like that, and there's actually probably more in this thing than I would have imagined. I'm thinking that the case comes apart. Okay, this comes off. Whoops, it's falling off of this thing now. Oh, I got switches falling out already. Where are they falling out from? Well, those would be the ones on the bottom, I guess, to set the time. Okay, the display comes off, or the front comes off there, to reveal this nice blue display. What else pops off on this? That's the little piezo buzzer on the bottom here for the non-radio alarm. Okay, I see some more screws. I wonder if that screw there holds the top on. There's the speaker. Get some light in here so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, there's a couple more screws than I can see in here. There's screws up there. I don't see any. But I see a couple screws down here. Well, I guess I'll just take out some screws and see what falls off. If I remove the circuit board, it might be a little easier, so maybe we'll just pop out the circuit board. There's 3 screws that are marked with arrows, so I'm assuming that those are the 3 that have to come out. Be interesting to see what color blue these LEDs are without the filter on. I'm guessing that they're going to be a lot lighter blue than what we're seeing. Well, let's just plug it in and see how they look. How blue are they? Actually, they look about the same. It's just that they got the white background. Impossible to see them without the blue lens, you see, because they look white and now they look blue. Okay, got the 3 screws out for the circuit board. I don't know if that helps me or not. It's almost like these are held together with tape and that the back should pop off. If I remove those, I should be able to pop the back off of this thing. Okay, now if I pop these little clips down here, will this pop apart? Aha! If I pop those clips, that pops off. The front pops off. Get to this side. It might not be as easy because the board is in the way, but if that lifts off, that is a optical encoder. Cool. Cool. That's an optical encoder to set the time. There's some clips down the side here on the other side that I gotta release. I don't know how I'm gonna get them. There we go. That's how I got those. Okay, now that part's open. Now I can get to this screw to lift off this part. There's a volume control down in there. A cheap looking volume control that is. It's just a circuit board mounted pot with a shaft going into it. Take out this screw, and if I can get to the other one behind it, then I should be able to lift the top off and get to the rest of it. I think I can get to this screw down here. Now you know why I've been putting this off all these years. Like, this has been acting up for a few years and I haven't bothered to fix it. Now you know the reason, because I kind of figured it was going to be a pain in the ass to get into. And it had to piss me off enough of not working that it made it worth my while to invest time to get into this thing, as opposed to, say, using one of the other clock radios that I've got, because I got a few others. I got a few collectible ones. Got a couple stereo with FM stereo on them that I've had for years. I fixed them on the channel. I changed the display on one of them. Had a bad VFD. But they never quite made it into service. I kept using this one. This should lift off now, I think. Top should lift, unless there's another screw I'm missing, which there probably is right in the middle, or not. There it goes. That comes off like that. What is holding this up? The display pops out. And oh, it's got this big ribbon cable that's just long enough to cause issues. Look at the ICs. Cool. They're just blobs of epoxy on little circuit boards. That's the clock. That's an IC, but it's you know, it's mounted, just a epoxied over chip mounted onto a little circuit board. I guess I have to remove these other screws that are arrow marked so I can get into this silly switch. Get some cleaner into that thing, because I don't think I can get into it any other way. I got to take this top has to come off just to get to it. Hopefully this will work when it goes back together. I kind of let this run a little longer than I probably should, just so you guys get an idea of how much work is required to get to the switchboard on the top. It's a lot of work to take this thing apart. I've been on this for probably 20-25 minutes so far, maybe a little longer, just to get to this point. Two more screws that I got to get at here. If I can turn this enough, I can get to these two. Then the top should lift off, and I should be able to get to that switch that I'm needing to clean. I think that's got them all. Double check to make sure there's no hidden screws. I don't want to break any circuit boards when I lift this off, but it should pop out by just releasing a catch or two. There we go. All right, now I've got the board out, and I can get to that stubborn switch that's giving me all the grief. Here's the optical encoder right there. So when you turn the dial to adjust the time and stuff, you can see that it just interrupts light on this little optical encoder, which makes the display go up or down depending on what way you're turning it. So there's got to be a couple sensors on here to detect as the lights break, as the light beam is broken from the LED. If I plug this thing back in, that button needs to be either taken apart and cleaned or just cleaned with some cleaner. I think what I'm going to do, rather than change the switch, is I don't think I've got one. Looking at the top of this, it looks like something has been spilt on it, but nothing has been spilt on it. It's just been sitting there on a nightstand for 20 plus years. In fact, I might even be able to just give this thing a shot of cleaner and see if that'll make it work. All I care about is that it turns on and off. I'll try drenching this with some cleaner first before actually ripping it apart.
The silver tone.
I think I fixed it.
Out of London, man called.
I'm going to give the other buttons a shot while I'm in here, and the volume control over here. This is the stupid volume control. Give that a shot of cleaner. And see, I'll clean the rest of these while I'm in here. Just give them all a shot, even though they're not used. They probably don't work because they haven't been used in years. So we'll just give them all a shot of cleaner while I'm in here. Clean out the oxidation. I'm only poking this with the screwdriver. That's the sleep button. I'm only poking this with the screwdriver here just because I don't feel like getting oil on my fingers this early in the morning. This neutral has got diesel in it. This is the old neutral. The new stuff doesn't use diesel. The new stuff uses a non-toxic mineral oil because the new version of neutral is safe for food processing plants. So they have to use a non-toxic lubricant. But this old stuff that I've got, this stuff's got diesel, and you can smell it. Okay, that's fixed. Now to put it back together. I purposely didn't adjust the volume control because I didn't want to have to worry about the alignment of the control fitting in there. Here's the photocell to dim down the display. It just sits under this little window here on the top. I'll unplug the power and we'll start the reassembly procedure, which is probably going to be more difficult than taking it apart. Well, maybe not. Maybe it will luck out and it'll just go back together. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, that screw went in. Okay, I think I got that. We'll just plug it in and make sure that all the buttons work before I go any further. Gotta let it boot up first. It's got to go through the motions. Okay. It's on. Volume control. My volume control is out. Ah, damn! I'm off by. I gotta loosen the screws off. This should be at minimum. I'm off by halfway. Damn it! Should be able to maybe just pull this side of the board down enough that I can straighten that control out. What is holding me up? That's what I was afraid was going to happen, is I would get the volume control out of phase with the knob. But maybe if I can just pop this down just enough that I can rotate this down to here and have it pop back in. There we go. All right, now that should fix that problem. And you wonder why when the electronic shops were in business, when someone walked in with a clock radio and said, "Can you fix this?" I say, "It's not worth fixing." "Oh, but it's my favorite clock radio. I really like it fixed." "Not worth fixing." "But I really want it fixed." If only they knew the amount of work that was required to get into the bloody thing to do it, then maybe people would understand why the shop is not lying when they say it's not worth fixing. This is definitely something that would be not worth fixing, but it's only being fixed because it's my own, for one, and I really like this radio. That's why it's being fixed. It's because it's mine. That one works. What's wrong with this one? Am I not in the right position? I got to be over there. Align the there we go. That works. And that one works. So that's good. That part works. Now there should be a couple screws to hold this part together. There are. We'll get that in next. Okay, that's got those two screws in. There's two more of them at the back that I got to get in. I figured I got to show you that I actually did get that screw in. It only took me 10 minutes. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But it's back, so no one can say I left the screw out, even though it really wouldn't matter because it's mine. Okay, where does these ones go next? I got to put this front panel on. Where these other screws go? These other screws hold the circuit board down like that. I think they go in first. That's my annoying friend. He just figured out how to do the handwriting thing on the app we're using to communicate. We use Wire to communicate. We used to use BlackBerry Messenger, but they shut it down. Finally, in November they shut that down. So we've moved on to using one called Wire, and it's got a lot of features on it that my buddy's just figuring out how he can do handwriting and send me little messages. It's kind of a neat messenger app because it's completely secure, and he figured out how to send things like when it said like that, like writing. You can, it's like kind of useless. You can send files, videos, do video chats, make phone calls, and the whole bit, just like everything else. But it's just a more, I guess it's a more secure app now. Because it's unlike the other messengers that are out there, like WhatsApp and stuff, that need your phone. Like they work off your SIM card, off your phone number. This one here doesn't. So it's like BlackBerry Messenger. It's one that is a little more secure in that respect because you don't require to have it linked to your phone. That's always been my concern about all these messengers that are out there, all these messenger apps that are out there, is that they're all linked to your phone number, and I'm one of these people that don't give out my phone number. I don't register anything that requires my phone number for registration. I don't use. Nobody knows my cell number, and I like it that way. I don't get any spam calls. Nobody calls me. I have like disposable numbers that people know that I give out. My burner numbers I give out, for example, but I don't give out my real cell number to anybody. There's like 5 people that know my real cell number, and that's about it. And sometimes I wish that a few of them that know it didn't. But anyway, we've been using this new app called Wire, and it's working pretty good. Now I just got to get this back on. This was kind of fun to get apart to begin with, so there we go. That's how I think it goes on like that. These clips it on both sides to these little catches, and there, that's on. And then I can snap this front panel on after I clean off the dust that you'll never see, but if I know it's there, it'll bug me. Then this piece goes on like that, and then the bottom. I believe I have it now. Get the last screws in, and we'll give it a final check. Make sure everything's working. Make sure all the switches are working properly, so I can select the time zone and turn on and off daylight savings, which is something that we should have gotten rid of like years ago. I remember our government sent out a referendum to see whether people were warming up to getting rid of daylight savings, and it was overwhelmingly yes. But the problem is, we won't switch over until the Americans switch over. Okay, this is the daylight saving button down here. Let's see if it will turn on the little daylight saving indicator, which it does, and it moves the clock ahead by an hour, and then back, and then we got our time zone select. Eastern, right? It stays in Pacific time anyway. To set the time on this, we flip it over to time set, and then we use the little optical encoder to set the time to 12:20 p.m. It's 12:20 and 36 seconds now. So if I wait until 12:31 or 12:21, looking at the CRT that's got the exact time right over my workbench here, just up there, the one I fixed last week. If I wait until 12:21, move it to 12:20, when I switch this back to lock, that should synchronize it. I'll throw a new set of batteries in, and then this clock will have the perfect time when I unplug it. There we go, 12:21. That starts the clock working, 12:21 p.m. This switches between music and the bell for alarm number 1, and same with alarm number 2. Bell or alarm, and then I can just set my alarm times. So if I go to my alarm time and say set it for 6:45, which is usually what time the radio comes on. And the second alarm I usually set for like 9 o'clock a.m. because those are when I get my day off, that's the time I usually will set the alarm for. There we go. Now my alarm clock is set. And auto brightness is off. I'll turn it on. And then when it gets dark, as you can see at night, the display dims right down. That is a feature that every digital alarm clock should have. The only downside to this one is that the display is blue. It looks cool. You know, the blue display looks cool, but I would much rather have had this one with like an orange or a red display. Just because the eye is more sensitive to red than blue. Blue is not a really easy color to see at night. Now it's working like it's supposed to. Yep, it's working. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.